What is Meta You? It is the ability to go beyond your limitations and beyond your current career and create the life and the business that you really want to create.
What's up? How is everybody? How are you, Tom?
I'm so good, Spring. Thanks for having me on the show. Super excited to be here.
Oh my gosh, I'm so pumped. So this is our first event. We just launched a private Facebook group called Meta You. Meta means to go beyond, and then you. And so I thought there wasn't a better way to kick off the launch of it than to have the one and only Tom Ferry kick us off. And so the whole purpose of today, we have a 4-hour digital summit of all the top minds, not all, some of the top minds in real estate. They're going to be speaking about strategy, what they're doing going into 2021, how they're ending the year. And so I thought today would be great to ask you, because you coach from the top minds, what your top clients are doing in Q4 to get ready for 2021. So yeah, take it from there, Tom.
Cool. So, well, first of all, thank you again and congratulations on doing this. I mean, I just, like you, believe there is so many great people that are looking for an extra edge. Truthfully, a lot of people are lonely out there right now. So we want to connect in more meaningful ways, whether it's through education or ideas or a Facebook page. So, you know, kudos to you for putting this together and just being of service of others. So love it. Yeah. So with that said, I think I've talked to, I don't know, something around 10,000 agents in the last, call it 45 days, whether it's in live shows or shows. Last night on with a couple of the biggest real estate companies in Australia. Just in the last week, I've talked to about 350 of the top teams globally, Australia, New Zealand, Europe, Mexico, and the US. And I would say whether you're a brand new agent or you're a mega team, there's probably 3 things that matter most right now as we go into 2021. I'm going to try and not talk about the obvious, right? Should you have goals? Yes. Should you have a business plan? Yes. Should you track and measure your numbers? Probably a good idea unless you like taking your money and just going to Vegas and gambling and seeing what happens. So besides the obvious, I think it really comes down to what is it that is causing people to achieve in this market? I mean, because we're in a very crazy time right now. We've got a lot of tragedy, a lot of rates dropped for the 13th time this morning, for the 13th time to historic 2.2. So you have this unbelievable surge of real estate. And then on the flip side, you got all this crazy stuff happening in our society with COVID, with social unrest, all these things happening. I think the first thing that I'm seeing really good people do is they're being aware of that, right? That they're not running around going, my best year ever, real estate is on fire. And though we want to be excited about what's going on, I think the vast majority of people are being a little more empathetic to what's going on. You know, as talking with one of my clients who is one of the top teams in Atlanta, Georgia, Glenda Baker, just a couple of weeks ago, we're talking about, she's not last year, but 18,000 people were let go of from Delta Airlines same exact time. So it's not a tragedy and triumph. It's very real. So that's probably the first big thing is empathy. The second thing that people are really paying attention to right now is how do I build my brand and how do I scale trust? I mean, look at your business, Spring, and the impact that you and the team have done, helping more than 250 people buy and sell real estate this year alone, right? I mean, I was on your Zillow page, 30 minutes ago, and it's so impressive. What you see and everyone watching sees is there is a massive flight to quality right now, massive flight to quality that, I could use my next door neighbor who's got a real estate license who sold a house 7 years ago, or in times like this, I think I want to go to the most professional, best track record, most reviewed, most transparent, most putting themselves out there in a positive way, educating me on the decisions to make, the mistakes to avoid. That flight to quality has never been greater than we're seeing right now. So the question I'm asking everybody is, what are you doing to put your brand on steroids? And again, as I mentioned, it's not, hey, we're selling more house than anybody else and we're killing it this year. Like, that's great. But remember, like, there's people out there that are really suffering. So there's a more elegant way to do it. And I would argue a couple of things, just if we're just talking branding in general. Yeah. First of all, it is, do all your social media sites look the same? Like, are they matchy? Like I was on a session recently and I just was calling people out because there's like, 800 people on there. I'm like, okay, so, spring, like, here, tell me what your Instagram page is. And this is very vague, and it's locked down. I can't get in it. And I'm like, wait a minute. You're a real estate professional, but I can't get to Instagram. And Instagram is the most popular social media site on the planet amongst people that would buy and sell real estate, and you're making it private. Like, that's a mistake. Is your LinkedIn profile been updated in the last 6 years, right? A lot of people that got on LinkedIn, they got on when LinkedIn really first became popular in real estate, which would be almost 7 years ago. They haven't done it since. And LinkedIn today, if I'm thinking about making a move, which I recently moved from Newport Beach, California to Dallas, Texas. And the first thing I did is I went on LinkedIn and I'm like, who do I know in Dallas? Who do I have those questions? And my friends, the bottom line is this: if your brand is sloppy, your business is sloppy, people's expectations of you aren't where you want it to be, and you're not going to experience that flight to quality. So obviously making sure all that stuff is on point. But the other side of that is, how much content are you putting out right now? So what I'm seeing is even the agents that are like one of my personal clients who I've worked with for 18 years, maybe met him AC from North California, works in Terra, 3 transactions this year, which is cool, but it represents $600 million in sales volume, right? That's a lot of business for a guy with a small team, right? He and I were chatting about the fact that he knows he needs to put out more content to supplement his direct mail, his geographic farm, what used to be the biggest open house bonanzas every single weekend. He's recognizing that even at his level, if he's not putting out quality content, behind the scenes, who are you, what are you doing, what are you all about, to stay top of mind for the buyers and sellers that don't know you, but also to stay top of mind for your friends, because it's just so noisy right now. Forget the political mumbo jumbo. It's just noisy. And now it's noisy with the holidays. So Spring, you're asking me, like, I have so much to say about this conversation, but I didn't even get to the really important one. I'm going to share one more thing, and then I want to kick it back to you and say, what are you thinking? So here's the thing I'm asking all my personal clients. I'm literally saying to them, right? I had one of the top teams in the country from Toronto a couple of days ago, Ottawa, excuse me. And so I said to this team, they'll do 650 transactions this year. They have probably the highest per person productivity. So I'm not talking to the team leader. I'm talking to the individual agents on the team that sold 18 homes, the sales agent that sold 16 homes, that sold 25 homes. And I said to them, between now and the end of the year, I want you to send a personal video to every person in your database. And Spring, this is the look at, oh my God. And I'm like, wait, this is yesterday. I'm like, look, there's 43 days left. Yeah. If you got 430 people, that's 10 videos a day. You know how long that takes? That takes like 22 minutes. If that, if you really are like, Spring, I'm just thinking about you and Brian. Hope you guys are doing happy first, right? Send. And the reason why is because I don't know if we got people from all the logistics in the US here. Every economist on the planet, every economist is saying 2021 is going to be even better than, forget COVID, real estate transactions, the number of sides, the number of deals, prices improving, interest rates staying in the 2s. Everybody is saying the same thing. If you're not staying top of mind with the people that matter most, and you're trying to say, what's the next new crazy thing I'm going to do to get more listings? I would say to you first, make sure you cement the relationships with the people that matter most, because if it goes as planned, we're going to continue to see the migration patterns we saw this year, right? Where people are just saying, hey, if I'm going to work from home, school from home, teach from home, love from home, everything from home, I'm in the wrong home.
Yes.
We're going to make some moves. So I think it's going to be a really busy year. And if you neglect to reach out to the people that matter most, your business is going to be impacted by that, because it's okay. They'll find another source. They'll find another agent.
Right.
Make sense?
Yeah. And there's a lot of options right now. So it is creating that personal relationship, because just like in any hot market, everybody gets a real estate license, right?
Of course. Yep.
So that top of mind. So Tom, here's the thing that I find interesting is there's no secret to do this business. meaning you literally put out so much content of how to do it.
Yeah.
So what would you say is the reason why people don't take action of doing what I mean, I guarantee you just said, go do a personal video, and most were like, oh, no, or that sounds great. So what do you think is that differentiator between the top and the people that are not doing it?
So what's interesting is I would say my clients are doing it, right?
Yep.
People like you are doing it.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I said, it's the flight to quality, but always and forever. I'm 31 years into this. It's the rich and the rest in real estate.
Yeah.
So Spring, like I don't feel bad for, I don't wish ill will on. Recognize that some of us are in this business to help a lot of people, and some of us are in this business because we couldn't figure out what the hell to do. And so we sell a house now and then. I mean, you got to get, like you made a point earlier, like in a good market, a lot of people join the business. I sure to complete quote on this as do your research, go to NAR. But I was told that 200,000 net new agents coming into the market in 2020, which would put us at 1.6 million agents.
Wow.
And we're only selling, 5.3, 5.4 million homes, two sides, call it less than 11 million sides. And you're doing 250. And my client, George in Phoenix, did like 3,000.
Yeah.
Right. So somebody isn't selling any houses. So, why do people not do it? I don't know. They're lazy. They don't really care. They have too much money.
Yep.
They got a bad mindset. I don't think in a you environment is going to be like that. I think all these guys and gals are like, yeah, bring it on. Go.
Yeah. It's such an amazing time. I'm sorry, everybody's commenting your Wi-Fi is cutting out. I think it's because you're in your new place. You probably just
I am in my new place and I've got perfect Wi-Fi. I have like extraordinary Wi-Fi. So if that's happening, sorry.
That's okay. You're good. So Tom, 2021 is here. It's going to be the best real estate market that we've seen in who knows how long, right?
Yes.
Connect with your SOI. That's the number one thing you're saying. Connect with your trusted network. Create a brand or get your brand out there more to be top of mind and creating value, right? And then what is the third thing that you would say if they really want to take some more market share? What would you suggest people do?
So I'm always very mindful when I do shows like this. What I would say to people is, Spring, everyone needs to analyze their own business and say, okay, I'll back up and I'll give you a story.
Okay.
My son, who's 21, who's at SMU, which is part of the reason why I'm here in Dallas. A couple of years ago, my buddy took him on a road show where my friend was raising capital for his CEO, and they went and met with 6 different financial services companies, hedge funds, etc. And they made their pitch, and my son got to just sit and observe. And at the end of it, we're at the London Hotel in New York City, and I said, so Michael, what did you learn? He said, I'm really clear on what side of the desk I would want to be on. And I thought that was pretty insightful for, a 19-year-old kid who said, I want to be the one being pitched, not the one having to pitch and convince. And I say that to you all because I think the most important thing for all of us is to figure out how you're going to get more listings in 2021 than you did in 2020. Because do you really want to be in that position where you're one of 13 offers 20 or 30 more times in 2021? Because that's what the market is telling us. So what I would say to you all is, I think you need to go back and grab a whiteboard and say, okay, I took 22 listings last year, or I took 12 listings, or I took my client, Tim Smith, 89 listings, and his team listed another 142, right? So we said, okay, here's where we got the listings. This many came from our farm. This many came from Google search. This many came direct from video. This many came direct from all kinds of different, let's call it social media. We did this many from our past clients in Sphere. We did this many from agent referral. And then we literally are saying, how can I squeeze those lemons even more effectively, right? How can I get more out of each one of them potentially without spending another dime? And I think for everyone watching right now, look, if you take listings, you're in the driver's seat. If you put your focus and concentration and your calls and your marketing around all things attracting listings, whether that is a geo farm, whether that is just loving on your sphere and recognizing and congratulating and acknowledging them for every little thing you see on Facebook to stay top of mind, whether it is better direct mail, handwritten notes, radio ads, television, Google, Zillow, all of it works.
Yep.
The question is, what worked for you in 2020 and how can you turn on the jets in 2021 and get ephemeralization. Get a lot out of a little or more for less without maybe spending another dime. So I know that doesn't entirely answer the question.
No, I agree with you, because it is, I say that there's 1,000 ways to do this business.
Right.
There's not a right or wrong. There's some people who succeed at social media, some love Zillow, some love to cold call. So you need to pick what's for you.
Yeah.
And also, I think it's important to eliminate, when you're whiteboarding out, eliminate what is a distraction.
Right.
Because I think a lot of people don't realize that they're spending time on stuff that does not really work. It just sounds pretty, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm actually about to do a podcast as soon as we're done today on this sort of conversation about scaling yourself. And I think, you're kind of leaning into that, which is like, hey, what do I do that I've always done? Because I've just always done it. Not because it's the highest and best use of my time, but because it's like warm milk and cookies. It just makes me feel good. But it doesn't generate revenue. It doesn't help others. It doesn't move my brand forward. I just do it. So I'm very much in alignment with you. It's how do I do more of what worked? And then how do I scale up? So I'm only doing the things that truly matter, which means maybe I'm hiring an assistant or someone to help me at my house, or someone to help. Like right now, one of my clients said to me, like, what was the best move you made in 2020? Now, for context, this gal made $4 million already this year. She's 41 years old, married, husband's got a job making $125 and she's making $4 million, right? So the dynamics of that.
Yeah.
She is girl boss on steroids. She's been my client since she was like 22, right? So I've watched this woman grow up and, get married and have a family and build this beautiful business. So we're in this sort of like recapping the year, because in our mind, we're already in 2021. So I'm like, what was the best thing you did? She said, all of us are dealing with kids that are young. Hers are like 7 and 5. She's like, so they're all at school. You know what we did? I got 4 of my friends together. We hired a full-time tutor, and the tutor is teaching all the kids, because it's not the highest and best use of my time to be sitting there trying to figure out what's 2 + 2.
Yeah.
And some of you might hear and say, oh, that's horrible. But see, when she comes home, she wants to be super mom. She doesn't want to be the teacher. She's not a good teacher. She's a really good listing agent. She's a really good mom. Go outside, play football with her boys. I mean, she'll do all that stuff. But she's like, I can't sit in front of a 3-hour Zoom session and try and figure out, the history of Hoobie-Doo. She's like, it's just not the highest, best use of my time. So everyone out there, how are you going to scale yourself?
Yeah.
How are you going to scale yourself? A big one is, how are you going to eliminate decision fatigue? This is what's killing people right now. And I don't mean killing in the actual sense. You all know what I mean. It's the, how do I do this? How do I do that? How do I do this? How do I market this listing? Am I going to market this differently? Am I going to do that differently? Like, most of you are putting yourself in a position where you're having to make too many decisions. Write a marketing plan. Write a plan for how you're going to operate every single day, and then be like Forrest Gump and just follow it.
Yeah. And leverage, right? Her scaling was that she knew that's not the highest and best use of her time.
Right.
She could go take another listing and pay that tutor, right?
100%. 100%.
So it was interesting for me, because you've made a few posts lately that obviously I pay attention to, because the things you've been saying is you make an educated business decision based off of numbers, right?
Right.
And obviously my husband is Mr. Sisu, is what I call him.
Yes.
And for kids that don't know, Sisu is like a tracking software that you can track your metrics, but it also has in it the back end to see your ROI off of lead sources and activities. And I did this activity because we are officially in 2021 in our business as well. Yeah. And it was a huge aha to me of things that I thought were working, or agents that I thought were crushing it, because perception was they were crushing it at certain lead sources. Yeah. And reality of it is vice versa. Like we were not doing so great. And so even just having that information of what to eliminate. So I would encourage everybody to even just look at like, not what you don't want to do, but what is it costing you?
Yeah.
You talked about, you said something about this on the online lead space too, is like people are getting Zillow, realtor.com, but people aren't realizing how much, if they're not converting them, that everybody else is paying for them as well. Not everybody, several. Yeah. So what would you say the key things they need to measure in their business? Like what are some of the key metrics you would tell your top clients to measure right now?
So I would say first you need to start with the foundational stuff, because the top clients are now measuring, as you're talking about, which salesperson based upon their personality profile, converts at the highest level at what time of the year, during what time of the day, with how many showings. Like, it can get pretty nerdy for people, which I actually really appreciate, because that's where you get highest and best. That's where you get highest conversion. Here's what you need to track in the beginning. How many people in my database, and how many times do I talk to all of them? And then what results come from that? If I'm doing a geographic farm or any type of lead source, how many people am I touching? What is the frequency? What is the response rate? Who never responds? Who responds more often? What time of year do they respond? What offers made them respond? The thing that people, what I love about this business is there's a lot of artists in this business. In Spring, they love people. They love houses. And they're horrible at business. But because they're so good with people, and because they're so like caring and nurturing and do whatever it takes, it makes up for all the stupidity that they have when it comes to running a business. And I don't mean that to be rude, but what happens is when it's the two in the box theory that I've been pushing hard with a lot of our teams, right? So if you're that super artist, you need that analytical person that actually says to you, hey, you know what? Your highest and best use is doing 3 hours of calling your sphere and writing 15 handwritten notes a day, because that gets us the biggest return on our investment. If you just keep doing that, or going to social parties, or hanging out, or doing Zoom, or doing live videos, just keep doing that. But otherwise, what happens is people don't track, so they don't know. And again, I go back to what I said earlier. Spring, you were having the perception that people were doing well. Data eliminates perception. It's just math. Give Susie 5 Zillow leads between 200 and 300,000, and she'll sell 3 of them. Right? Give Ted anything above $1 million, and he couldn't sell them if their life depended on it. Right? Making those decisions also eliminates the decision fatigue that so many of us are dealing with right now. So I don't know if I answered the question entirely. The point is, how about this? How about everybody just do this? In 2021, I want to have 130 listing appointments for the year, and you just write down 1 through 30 on a wall, and every time you get one, you mark it off. It could be that basic for an artist. They'll want to put it in pretty colors, green and red and blue and all that stuff, and that's cool too. Like, make it pretty. And if you really want to get it, this is not like I'm not an investor in Sisu, but I'm a huge fan of some of our clients. I should have invested it, so you let your husband know I'm in. But like, I spend $1 million a year on business intelligence through Salesforce and Marketo and a data lake and data scientists and all, to try and help us make better decisions. And Sisu does that for like pennies in comparison. So, not a shameless plug, but like a thoughtful plug. Like, people should do that.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, last question before I let you go. So you hit on, like, I think we all come from this place of like the market and rates and everything, and everything is phenomenal right now. You hit on having empathy and meeting people where they're at. What kind of messaging would you be putting out there on social right now? Because what I'm seeing is the market's on fire. We're crushing it. We're selling all these homes. So what, if it were you, what messaging would you be putting out there?
I'd be putting out a combination of things. I think I'm going to take think out of the equation. Let me share with you something that I just filmed that's going out on my Tom Ferry show in a couple of weeks. If you look at the world today, right, again, this is a tragedy and triumph. It's one thing for you or I to get out there and say, we understand that the world is challenging, but if you're thinking about making a move, you should do something. It's entirely different if you capture in micro video moments your customers throughout the buyer journey. Like, could you imagine, Spring, getting a video from a client that said, 2 years ago we met Spring and we weren't really sure where we wanted to be. We knew we didn't have enough space. But she took the time to really help us understand this community versus that community and our buying power. And it was remarkable, because she stayed in touch with us for 2 years before we finally made the decision to buy a house. Now we couldn't imagine having a life without her. She's just that amazing. And could you imagine having like 30 or 40 of those videos from research phase buyers and sellers all the way through into ready phase, into showing, into writing offers, into launching the listing, into closing the deal, and then their life afterwards.
Yeah.
I think that I made a statement on this show, and I'll say it here sort of publicly first. 7 years ago, I basically told every real estate agent on the planet, the number one thing you have to do going forward is recognize we're in the review-based economy. And if you don't have lots of reviews on your business, people will assume you don't sell any houses, right? Like that's just the world today. And that's not me talking Tom Ferry business coach. That's just paying attention to social norms. Today, what I'm telling people is it's about a video first marketing message, micro moments of clients along the buyer journey of buying and selling, talking about you. And all you have to do, if you say, well, kind of, I don't know, like that sounds hard. Think about my buddy Ken Carey, who does 25 to 30 infomercials a year. So Spring, if you ever saw anything with Chuck Norris, Christy Brinkley, from Ford to, Amazon now. He's doing Amazon Alexa, infomercials. Uh-oh, she's about to turn on, right?
I can't connect to you.
There she is. I haven't connected her yet in my new house. But get this. He'll say to you, 65 to 70% of every infomercial is someone else saying, this is why I use Spring.
Yeah.
This is how she helped solve my problem. This is the problem that I have, and this is how she helped. So I would argue for everybody, a 2021 initiative is to start capturing those micro moments. Think about the buyer journey, the seller journey, and capture that from past clients about when they first met you, what that was like, and it was like that offer, what it was like to get that accepted offer, and what it was like to actually move in that house, and how you followed up for 5 years. Start doing that, and you'll be the first to do it in your marketplace. And just like reviews, you're going to catapult above everybody else.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool. Well, Tom, I know we're up on time. I thank you so much for joining us today. This is a perfect way to kick off our event. So I appreciate you. One thing I'll say about Tom is I met him in person. I toured his office a few years ago with my husband, and Tom's energy in person is exactly the same here and on stage and whatnot. I was like, oh my gosh, he's exactly the same. High energy, just a super cool dude. So thank you so much.
You're very kind. Yeah, thank you. And for everybody out there watching, listen, from my family to you, if you're in the US, have a wonderful gratitude-filled Thanksgiving and a bonkers December, Christmas, Hanukkah, etc. And it goes without saying, Spring said it, and I said the same thing. The 2021 spring market started in September of 2020. Don't plan on anything slowing down. Move forward powerfully, my friends, and crush the rest of the year. Thank you, Spring. Love to you and your hubs, right? We'll see you guys soon. Take care.
Thank you.